Thank you for your patience, Commissioner Califf. I want to talk about kind of your current policies in terms of hybrid telework. We have here, just for the American people watching from your website, that says the White Oak campus, your main campus, is open, but yet is open with maximum telework flexibilities. And Mr. Commissioner, I sent you a letter back in January. I haven't received a response yet, so I'll just ask you these questions today. And it's essentially, can you just talk about your telework policy and why we're still teleworking and when you plan to bring everybody back in person?
Well, thanks for the question. And I think to answer this question, it's useful to start from before the pandemic, because when I was commissioner in 2016, we had a 4 out of 5 days on campus policy because we didn't have enough offices for the number of people that we had. So it's actually a requirement. And we had our Zoom capabilities and all that built up well before the pandemic. But, when I arrived in 2022, the pandemic was well underway, and we had instituted a policy of measurement. The primary accountability of the American public is getting the work done. We're meeting all of our metrics and our user fees quite well. I think you can, that's a matter of public record. And when you look at the output of the employees, it's quite high. And now, within that, we have a number of people who work in laboratories. They've always gone to the facility to work because that's where the laboratory is. We actually have 270 facilities all around the U.S. because we have a large inspectorate and other activities and labs that are located all around the U.S. Those people are obviously going to work every day in person.
Just in the interest of time, Mr. Commissioner, my understanding, and I'm hearing consistently from industry, number one, the FDA granted in-person meetings without a hybrid component prior to COVID. So have we gone to more hybrid because of COVID? And are you back to pre-pandemic levels of in-person? Because the concern is, and the concern in my letter, and I would appreciate an answer to some of the questions in it, is that life-saving drugs, I'm getting this from chief medical officers, I'm getting this from providers and others, can't get the same type of due diligence. You can't have the same type of meeting. And in fact, I've talked to a number of companies that said their meetings have been delayed because they didn't have the right type of Zoom capabilities when you could just come in and have the meeting. So it's actually delaying the approval process.
Well, first of all, I know that
these are people are dying. The pandemic's over. The administration declared it over last year.
The approval process is definitely not being delayed because those metrics are kept, and we've had a record number of approvals, and our timelines have been met. We offer the option of in-person or hybrid meetings now. Many times the industry chooses hybrid because to have an in-person meeting, they got to fly everybody to White Oak to be there, and it's more convenient and they get a better attendance themselves.
I'm hearing from industry that they would prefer in person, and then those are delayed because of investments. We need more investments in Zoom, more investments in those kind of meetings, more investments in your infrastructure.
That may be true of some of the industry, but it's definitely not true of all of the industry. And I would expect that in the future there'll be much more in person from both sides wanting it, FDA and the industry. But I'd be shocked if we did it totally away with hybrid because often that's what the industry wants.
Why in the future would there be more in person?
Because people like to be in person when they can.
So why aren't we there now?
Because often people really find it more convenient to not have to fly everybody to White Oak. So there's a transition, period going on.
And can you describe what's the transition issue?
Well, there are a limited number of meeting rooms that are completely up to speed. That's, coming into place.
Up to speed for
the hybrid meetings that we often have to have because often industry has people on both sides of that equation. People who want to be there in person and others who want to
So you're saying it's industry really driving the demand for hybrid that you're making the investments.
No, I wouldn't want to say that. I'd say often it's both sides. The industry, would like to have either option, is what I would say.
I think from what I'm hearing consistently, and I would implore you to take a deeper look into this, the industry just wants the meetings, however they have to happen. They certainly don't want them delayed because of a lack of rooms that have been upgraded for hybrid, especially when they're things like ALS, where people are literally dying month to month with these delays.
I think I'm not arguing with your basic points other than to say, from everything I can see, we're meeting our timelines and we've got a record number of approvals that have occurred. So by any metric you would use, the place is pretty darn efficient right now.
Just in the time I have remaining, I think we have maybe we need to relook at the metrics. I don't know, but I'm just telling you what we're consistently hearing, and if they were being improved and you were having in-person meetings and they weren't being delayed.
Being evaluated, so let's be clear about that. Our job is to evaluate, not just to approve. We approve it when the data supports approval.
But you can't get to really have those conversations about the data if you're delaying because of meeting rooms.
Again, I'd be surprised if there are delays occurring because of meeting rooms.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you could please ask your team to look at the letter. I'm on 4 committees. I've never had to wait 4 months for a response just to some basic questions. Thank you.